a new thing.
It's like a new discovery. Like, whoa,
Yeah,
they have Google Meetings. It's been
Google
around
Meetings.
forever.
Yeah, that's the way forward. Um, so yeah, a couple cool things we can talk about today. So my Tesla told me um, that
You're talking to
my
your Tesla?
that my tires were low. Um,
No, I get that, but it's always PSI. It's always pressure, right?
yeah, yeah.
Air pressure. But you're
So
saying something
I
else.
got a message though that let me see, that the tires were low from the car. So I looked at the tires on the outside. I have a tread gauge,
Yeah,
and they looked okay. They're at 430 seconds. They're not down to the wear bars yet, but they need to be replaced soon, right?
yeah.
But so I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I was like, oh, I'll rotate them anyway, right? So it told me the rear tires were low. Please rotate or replace. I actually have the
Oh,
message right here. Yeah, there we go. Rear tire tread depth low. Schedule service. They want you to schedule service. So I took the tires off or rotated
and
them.
these are aftermarket tires, by
These are
the
the
way, right?
aftermarket. Yeah, the Michelin Pilot Sport All Seasons that you have. Same ones,
Yeah,
right? Now these tires, I had about 40,000 miles because I had them on my old Tesla, and then I moved them over
yeah.
to the new one, which has about 10,000 miles, right? So overall, they have about 40,000 miles on these tires. Now, so so while I was rotating, I looked in the rear tire, the right side rear, which is the one that gets the most abuse, right?
Yeah.
Especially on this new ludicrous Tesla. Um, so that one on the tire where it was cupped on the inside of the tire, so it's not through the cords or anything, but it's definitely down and it needs to be replaced pretty soon. So I'll have to get a new set of tires for that. So Brian, check your tires. Check your back, outside, passenger
My
side.
yeah, I definitely the wear on my tires is pretty low,
It's not
actually.
bad. Okay, okay.
No, no, no. I guess I should say it's high then.
It's
The
pretty
wear
high.
is high.
Check that back passenger side rear, because every time that you're ripping it out of a right hand turn, that tire is like spinning.
Yeah.
So just check the inside, because you might be down in the cords. You never know, unless your
I
car
don't
will
think
probably tell
I
you
don't think it's
too.
that low because I've swapped my tires out.
Yeah, you
Well, not those tires actually. I haven't swapped those tires out yet,
yeah.
except
I
for
was a
one.
little surprised, because all of them look like they're wearing fairly evenly, because I have rotated every like 10,000 miles. Um,
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, that back right tire. So I haven't ordered tires for the Tesla yet, but then I looked at the Rivian, and the front tires on that were down, down to like 230 seconds, down in the wear bars.
Yeah.
And it kind of snuck up on me because I have been checking them, but I didn't know they were that low.
See now that you moved to electric cars, you're not an enthusiast any
I,
longer,
I
so you don't
am.
really care
I
about
mean,
it.
I'm always checking them. I'm always checking the tires, and I mean the EVs are definitely hard on the tires. These high horsepower ones for sure. Um,
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, all the time I've had 7 tires now.
yeah, because one they
But
have
it
that.
has nothing to do with wear. It's all like the weight of the car, right? And
Yeah,
how low the or how thin the sidewalls were initially. So,
it,
but yeah, tires is definitely the maintenance of it.
for sure. Um, so yeah, because the weight of the car, the extra torque, right, and if you have potholes, then on the low profile tires, but the tires that we're running on the Tesla, they're good now. They can handle potholes no problem. Um,
Yeah, I would say yeah, they're pretty good.
I mean, I drove to Florida and back, no issues with the tires.
Yeah.
So they're pretty good. But the Rivian, they come stock with this Pirelli Scorpion tire, which is very expensive. It's like $450 a tire, and for the 21-inch wheels that I have on our Rivian, there was only one tire available, that Pirelli, until Michelin came out with this new tire, Michelin Defender. So yeah, Michelin Defender. So $353 each for the tire.
That's better.
It's better. It's still a lot, right? But this tire has a much longer tread wear. You know, it has like
Oh,
I think it's a 600 versus like a 300 on the Pirelli. So it's almost twice the tread wear. So it should last 60,000 miles. I don't know if we really get that, but the Rivian ripped through those Pirellis in like 28,000 miles. And I put a post out on one of the groups, and some people were like, they replaced them in like 15,000 miles. Like they've already gone through 2 sets of those Pirellis.
oh wow.
So it can get expensive. Some
Yeah,
some
that can get
guys
really
were like, "Oh, I have 40,000 on mine. I drive really slow, and I rotate them like every week." But it all, that's a numbers. The Pirelli is a numbers tire, EV specific. It probably has a lower tread to start. Low rolling resistance, but it's softer and not designed to last. Right? It's designed to give you the most range.
Yeah.
But the Michelin Defender isn't an EV specific tire, just like the ones we're running. They're not EV specific, right? They're just regular Michelin Pilot Sports. And you can use the bottom line is you can use whatever tires work well for you on these things. Like we don't notice the range hit really by switching tires in most cases.
I didn't notice any really.
Exactly.
I do like the old wheels and the old tires were really nice.
They look cool. The only thing they're good for is like sitting there looking at them, right? Like once you start driving, then it's like.
I mean they were good tires. I would just get blowouts. So
yeah, the P Zeros are like they're summer only tire. The Pirelli P Zero, but they handled good. Like I noticed on my Highland Performance, the rear tires were actually wider than the fronts, the stock ones, right? They're a little bit wider. And I like the way it handled. It handled really flat with those 20-inch warp wheels. And I did notice a little difference switching to the 18-inch with the Michelins, but not that much. The handling is not that much of a difference.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you're on track or something, right?
Yeah. No, I mean for what I was doing, definitely didn't.
So for
matter.
the tire replacement, I ordered them from Tire Rack, and they're gonna come change them in the driveway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have mobile service now.
Oh, that's awesome because that's the one thing I did like. Because I've swapped out so many tires, I would have Tesla come and they would man, they could balance and everything in their truck.
Yeah, those vans, those mobile tire vans are no joke. I mean, they have like, the latest equipment in there, right? So
yeah, it's awesome.
It's better than going to your local shop, or maybe the balancing machine isn't the newest, or they'll scratch up the rims on their tire machine. Like these guys know what they're doing. Tire Rack, like so that's pretty. That's
that
is
cool, man. I did not know that. So yeah, because I always look at Tire Rack and man, okay, that's good to know.
It's new, at least if it's in my area, it's definitely in your area. So
yeah,
it was only $50 per tire, which is pretty normal.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like I could have somebody come to work and swap the tires out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you could schedule like what day you want them to come. So we'll see if it works. And they bring the tires with them, so you don't have to like have the tires shipped.
And then they take the old tires, right?
Well, I don't know about that yet. It looks like maybe they want you to keep them, but I have a plan for.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. We'll see. I'll report on that. I'm gonna make a full video, of course.
Yeah, definitely do that because I would be very curious about that because that would be kind of painful if they didn't take the tires. But I would understand why they wouldn't take the tires because they have all new tires. They have to. There's probably so many visits they have to make when they go out on the road, like to make up for any loss, money or anything.
I mean, they can't hold that many tires, right? They can only.
Okay, so Tesla would take my tires.
Okay, well,
I'm pretty sure.
I'll try to get them to take them, but I'm not. That's not going to.
But there would be a fee there.
Exactly, there's a disposal fee. Like I saw on the invoice that there was a $0 disposal fee, so that's kind of telling me that they're not going to do it, but we'll see.
Yeah, but the fact that they listed it sounds like it's either an option or they're not charging you for it,
That's
and they're going
true.
to take
That's
them.
true. That's the only thing I'm wondering about. Let's see how they do with the Rivian. Like they're an authorized installer, so they should have like the jacking pucks and know how to jack it up properly and all this. But that's okay. I do too.
That's that's also good to know. So they're authorized to do tire.
EVs, Tesla and Rivian. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
I will tell you this. I had two mechanics. There's a tire company that rejected or turned me down for swapping out a tire.
Really? Because they're like they
Yep.
can't lift it.
I have no. I don't think that's the case
They
at
just didn't
all.
like the Tesla.
Because quite honestly, so there's two mechanics I work with at this one shop, and the one mechanic put in all my new tires.
Hmm.
And then I called back about this one single tire, and he turned me down. He's like, "Yeah, we don't do Teslas here."
Oh
So that tells
yeah.
me right there, he has a political issue or he has some sort of issue,
Oh yeah. Let's hope that doesn't.
right? And then there's a tire shop down the street, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't put aftermarket tires on that car."
Well, yeah, that I can see. If they don't meet the specification, but like with Tire Rack, you search for the tire for your wheel size,
Yeah,
and it comes up with these tires,
the
right?
list
So
of tires.
they're
Yeah,
exactly the same size as the stock ones. They're the right load capacity and all that, so they'll do it. If you try like changing the size up, like try
yeah.
to put wider tires on there or something, that they're gonna rub in
Well,
the
no, I went down. I went,
yeah,
because
you went to the
the
18s, yeah.
yeah, they come with, what does the
20s.
performance come with?
Yeah, they come with 20s.
Yeah, 20s, right? So I was
So
moving down to 18s.
yeah, I'll ask them about that. I don't think they'll have a problem with going because they're the 18 size wheel that the long range Tesla would use, exactly the same, right? Um,
True, yeah.
that's what we. So if it was a long range, it would have that same size tire, and I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna care either way. But yeah, so I'll see. Let's see how that works out. But we need to get those tires soon. The Rivian's down to the wear bars. All right, so a couple of Wi-Fi things I wanted to talk about. So in my own network, I had some issues with Zigbee this week. Um, Whereas Zigbee rides in the same 2.4 gigahertz channels as Wi-Fi does, and Zigbee has their own channel numbers, but channel 24 on Zigbee is somewhere like around channel 11, right? For
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. So you want to, if you have Zigbee in your house for home automation, like these little buttons or sensors, temperature sensors, things like that use Zigbee, leak detectors. A lot of those use
Mhm.
Zigbee. Then you have to be mindful of your Wi-Fi channel. So I have the Osmium spectrum analyzer here, right? So
Yep.
this does the 6 gigahertz, 5 and 2.4. So
How much does that cost?
um, so this isn't the latest one. Let me take a look. They just came out
Sorry, I
with a
didn't mean
new
to throw
one,
you off.
and this is really good to have. Let's just take a look here. So the latest one is called the Lucid, and it's $9.99. Comes with the software, and it can do Wi-Fi 7. This is the previous version of that,
Yeah.
but it can do all three bands. It's great to have, and so I ran this, and I could see that the Zigbee is over on the right on the channel where the channel 11 would be. I see the Zigbee traffic going on now. So I switched all my access points to 1 and 11 only, right?
Yep.
1 and 11 only. You can see it on this chart graph, and the problems went away. So usually Wi-Fi will step on Zigbee because these are very low power, right? But I added some new Zigbee devices, these wall panel displays that will control light switches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And those have like a higher powered Zigbee turbo mode or something. And that once I put those in, I noticed that like some of my 2.4 gigahertz stuff started getting knocked offline. It was not getting connected. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I hadn't looked at my channel layout in a little while. You know, I put some access points in, and then then I realized what was going on. But if anyone else is having similar problems, definitely isolate Zigbee over to channel 24 or 25. I think we'll push it all the way to the right of the spectrum, and then disable channel 11. And really, you should only use 1 and 6 at that point. In between. To get the best, we're not looking for great performance in 2.4. We just want it to be reliable for IoT devices that need it, right?
Yeah, exactly. They just need a connection, right?
Yeah, they just need a connection that's reliable as possible in 2.4. So that's one thing. Another thing, I had a customer installing new Wi-Fi 7 access points, ECW536.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was setting it up with Sonos and some other, IoT devices and things like that. And he had it set up with WPA3, right? So
problem.
So they won't connect to, only the latest devices really support WPA3, right? iPhones, Windows, laptop, MacBooks, not even, some of the older iOS devices won't even support it. Has to be like a recent iPhone, right?
Yeah.
But to use 6 gigahertz, you need to use WPA3.
Yeah, you have to.
And it was a little confusing on the Genius Cloud. It
Nothing's wait. Nothing's confusing on the Ingenious Cloud.
I know. But so if anyone's going through this on the Ingenious Cloud and they're trying, so basically you need to set up a separate SSID for WPA2, all your IoT devices, anything that doesn't support WPA3. It can still support Wi-Fi 6, but just not Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah. I actually I think we put a like a warning or an alert in regards to what's that?
There is an alert, but the confusing thing is if you have a WPA, you're setting up a new network, right? And 6 gigahertz is checked, then it doesn't allow you to select WPA2.
That's right, yeah. You have to deselect.
So the customer has to know that, I don't have 6 gigahertz and I want to use WPA2. So basically you'd have to uncheck the 6 gigahertz. Even if he doesn't even have Wi-Fi 7 access points, I think that 6 gigahertz would stay on.
Yeah, because we added a new message. I'm trying to find it.
Oh yeah, there's a legacy method also in there.
Since the SSID will broadcast on 6 gigahertz band, a more secure WPA3 encryption method is required, such as OWE, WPA3 Personal, or WPA3 Enterprise. Mm-hmm. Please reconfigure this security type.
Yeah.
So that is a warning when it's enabled. So because I have an SSID that's 5 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz only, I'm going to change that actually, I think. But anyway, so
so the bottom line is, I guess, that if you're trying to select WPA2 and you can't disable 6, you're gonna have to disable 6 gigahertz just on that SSID.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't work anyway. But that gives you the option to select WPA2. And then you wanted to talk about a couple things.
Yeah, heck yeah. So we're talking about an outdoor access point. It's called the ECW260. It's a cloud managed access point. What's that? IP67 or maybe 65? IP65 rated. It's probably one of our best selling. It's a 2x2 dual band Wi-Fi 6 access point. And we it just got approved for DFS. So if you're using those particular devices, you can now utilize DFS on 5 gigahertz. So it gives you more flexibility when you're deploying like a lot of these particular devices. And Jeff, what do we typically run into? We run into a lot of marinas. We do a lot of campgrounds. So you could use those channels in 5 gigahertz. You have more choices for channels, I guess I should say. Um, so yeah, so that was recently approved for DFS. We didn't have that approved for DFS, so now it is.
For sure. So that will give you more channels if there's. So basically, DFS is enabled. It gives you more channels that you can use. Um,
Right.
and then if there's radar in the area, it'll cause a channel change, right? Like immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be cautious. Very cautious of that, though, right?
Yeah.
Um, but we do have. Let's see. No, you'd have to have a scanning radio for
Right.
that
I was
one.
gonna say there's no scanning radio on that
Yeah.
AP, but it gives you more flexibility to use that. You want to use those channels. Most people aren't in areas with the radar issue, right? So if you're like right near an airport or a military installation, maybe you want to turn that off. Everyone else is probably good to have it on
Yeah.
for sure, right?
Yep. Yeah, campgrounds are typically out in a area where you don't have to worry about that. So, um, yeah, so that's a really good option. That's a like I said, a very popular AP. It goes into MDU as well, marinas, campgrounds, hospitality. When you get into MDU and hospitality, the number of devices it goes down. However, typically in MDU and like hospitality, there's more interference or more devices outdoors, like surrounding
Yeah.
those APs, so you have more choices, right? Um, so that's a good thing. That's a good selling, I would say, access point. So
Yeah,
it just
and
gives you more
it's time
features.
for outdoor access points. This is the time we see people start to really ramp up, right? Like for campgrounds, marinas, fairs, like all kinds of things like that, as well as like businesses and enterprise and things like that as well that we always see.
Right.
Um,
So another thing to mention is that within cloud you can set up 8 SSIDs. All those SSIDs can be configured in different ways, and we just added, I want to say last night, we just added the ability for layer 3 outbound firewall rule settings. So that is another feature that we could probably talk about later, but it gives you more flexibility on the SSID configuration. So if you go to SSIDs and
you can share.
you configure, say, you add a new SSID,
Mm-hmm.
there's tabs at the top like wireless, bandwidth limiting, captive portal, splash page, and so on. There's hotspot 2.0, and now there's something called firewall. And then under firewall, you can put in rules, right?
Yeah, so that is it. Does it look like outbound traffic rules for that SSID basically?
It is. It's for the wireless clients that are connecting to that particular SSID.
Okay. And what? So you
So
could
it
like
gives like
limit.
the network admin, better control over just outbound traffic from like wireless clients.
And it's not so much content filtering like if you didn't want people
No.
going to Facebook or that you wouldn't do it that way. It's more like going out to a certain network, right?
Yeah. So like you're like either allowing or blocking traffic going from a Wi-Fi client to the wired LAN or to the internet.
Oh, nice. So you can totally limit the wired LAN.
You can limit the wired
I
LAN. You
didn't
can
realize
limit
that.
the Wi-Fi LAN, I guess,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
WLAN, the wireless clients, what they're able to do coming
Okay.
into your wired network
Oh, okay.
or going outbound to the internet.
So that's pretty big. So because then you could limit traffic to like your wired network as well as what networks they have access to on the internet.
Right, exactly.
So I mean, I could see if you had like a VPN or site to site or something like that, or like another site over the internet, you could say, hey, this can only go to our corporate site or something like that.
Right. Yeah, so you would maybe use it like on a guest SSID, for example.
Yeah, where guest SSID has only access to internet, right?
That's right.
And nothing else. All right, interesting. So we'll check that out. We'll talk about that more next week. And anything else, Brian, today?
I think that's it.
All right, Google Meets. Let's hope this worked.